Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and today we're going to do something a little different. Uh, we're going to get back out in the shop and do something. And I had an idea for making my pellet trap for shooting mobile. Uh, the one that I built is the one I'm going to use on this, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. I've had it long enough to understand that it's just god awful too heavy to move when I want to mow underneath of it. And I decided we're going to make it mobile. So a while back, the day that I'd done the driving video, that day I was going to my buddy's house, Dale, and he gave me this Statesman lawnmower. Well, it had been sitting in his shop, or his barn, for about, I think he said 20 years. 12 or 20, I can't remember. I know there's a 2 in there. And it had been in the flood back when they had that flood here in West Virginia, and I did a video on that too. And it had been sitting in there and had flooded, and this was underwater. Well, I kind of figured it wasn't going to be no good for anything, but the main reason I got it so I can get some parts off of it, because the parts on it are pretty much the same parts that's underneath my mower that I use. The motor's locked up tighter than a bull's ass during fly time, but it's only a 14.5 and been sitting around underwater for that long, or underwater and then set for so long, that motor's locked up and it's not going to be worth fixing. Better to just take it apart and use whatever I can out of it and be done with it. So we're going to strip this thing down and use the frame and the rear axle, and we're going to make a trailer, but it ain't going to be a trailer. It's just going to be a platform on it with the a fold up beam or arm with my pellet trap on it. At least that's the way I see it in my head. So basically we're just going to take this thing clear down to the frame, take all the guts out of it, take the front axle out from under it, put a tongue on it, and take the deck out. We're probably going to restore the deck if it ain't in too bad a shape, because this deck, I believe, is the same identical deck that's underneath my other 2 lawnmowers. And we're just going to strip it down to nothing, take the dash off and take all the extra parts off of it, and use the parts on something else. So that's our plan. Now, this is going to be done in bits and pieces. You might see me in different clothes from time to time, because I think I'm going to make this an over time project. I mean, I don't want to take too much time on it because it's kind of in my way in here. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to start stripping this thing down to nothing. I'll take the motor. I got an overhead crane. We'll pull the motor with the overhead crane. And then it's as simple as just taking it apart. It's got a pretty decent deck on it from what I can see out here, but that doesn't mean that, I mean, I do see a dent in the bottom there, but I'll give you a walk around here as to what it looks like. This fender over here was missing. Now, if that fender wasn't missing, I probably would have tried to restore this, but it's got a missing fender and locked up motor, and I'm just not interested in restoring it. So, man, that thing must have had one hell of an oil leak, because look, that thing's caked on there. I'm gonna have a time cleaning that thing up. But the muffler on it is the same as the one on mine, I believe, because the 14.5 and the 17.5 is pretty much the same muffler. You know, you got a starter here that should be good, we hope. Maybe a carburetor. I'm sure it's going to have to be cleaned out, but, you know, I got a flywheel and, you know, just all kinds of parts here for working on my other lawnmowers. So we're just going to leave that rear end underneath of it, and I've already taken the fan off of it because that one fit my other one, and my other one was busted, so I used that. So stay tuned. We will get started on this, and I'll show you bits and pieces after I get it so far, and we'll see if we can't make this happen. Alright guys, we're going to get started on the second part of this. This is probably about a week later from the first part of this video, where I showed taking this mower apart. What I did, I took everything off the frame, took the frame apart, and I've got it here, and I was going to use the rear end out of that mower like I did on my other trailer, but I couldn't get the wheels off of the axles. The axles is solid, welded to the inside of them hubs, so I had to get another set of tires. This fan's probably too loud. Let me turn that fan off. Yeah, I gotta be careful walking around in my shop now, because I was over there messing with the computer, and I happened to look up there, and there was a black snake coming down off of that shelf down the wall. Big old black snake too. But anyway, I got these. I had to replace the tires, so I ended up getting them wheels, and they're a little different. They're keyed where the other wheels weren't. So what I ended up having to do is make my own axles. So I went and got these, I forget what they're called. They look like carrier bearings, but that's not what they're called. I'll remember after I do the video. But I got these that are 3/4 inch shaft. Takes a 3/4 inch shaft, and they got a set screw on them. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this plate down and mount it to the bottom of this, and then I'm going to put one there, one there, one there, and one there, so that these are independent, so that when I go around a turn, the wheels will turn independently. Because if I do one shaft all the way through, which is this, then I would have to tear up my grass when I go to turn it. Not that it's going to be moving much. This is just a pellet trap trailer, so it really don't need a whole lot of weight on it. But if I was to use a solid shaft, when I'd go to make a turn, if I was to pull it somewhere out of the way, and I'd go to make a turn, one wheel would hop. So, because they'd be going 2 different speeds. So, I'm going to make them independent, and I got a deal on 4 of these, so there's no reason why I can't do it independently. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these washers on here. I got to make 2 more of these, but I'll cut this down. Of course, I can't get that in there yet. For some reason, it don't want to go in there. Set screws are in too far. But anyway, the washers are going to be in between here. So let me bring you down here and show you what I got. So I've gathered all my parts that I want to use, and I took this jack off of my 4-wheeler trailer, and I'm going to use it. I'll have to make a pad for it, and like I did the other one, and I'm going to try to put it in this hole right here where the motor used to sit. Of course, the trailer's upside down right now, and I'm going to try to do it that way. And I don't know if I'm going to use this for the tongue. It's a little short. I don't have a longer piece, but if I was to put the jack where I want it, in this hole where the motor was, then I would have to make the tongue stop right here before it. So I don't know if that's going to work out too well, because I'm only going to have about 5 inches to mount the tongue. So that's going to be a trick. But we're not talking about that right now. Right now what we're trying to do is make 2 independent shafts here. So let's imagine that this is going through these holes. What I'll do is, see, turn that way, turn this one that way. I may turn them the other way, but something like that right there. So we'll have a shaft going in here, and then these washers will be in between there and welded to this rod so that these don't go back and forth. Yes, it's got the set screws on them, but I don't trust them. So to make sure that the set screws does their job, we'll just weld 2 washers there. That'll keep it from sliding back and forth. Then we'll have a sleeve that goes over this to bring the wheel out far enough so that it's exactly the way it was with the rear end that was in it. So that's the plan. We're going to try to do it that way. And then I've got to cut some keyways in the end of these for the wheels. And I'll have to make my keys. So we're going to try to make this trailer nice. Now I've already painted it. I took all this apart, painted it, bolted it back together because I'm going to do a second coat on it with black hammered. And now this is just showing the plans for this and what we plan to do. And this will be part 1 of, you know, taking the mower apart. And I didn't show the taking the mower apart because it was just too time consuming. All the parts right there and out front. And we're going to try to utilize the fenders that came off of this mower, simply because I want something protecting my tires from, let's say, if I shoot too low and I hit my tires, I'm going to be mad. So I'm going to try to use the fenders. Just depends on how ugly it looks. If it looks ugly, then we'll figure out another way to do it to protect the tires. because I also want to put some spinners on here somewhere, and we're going to make the pellet trap to where it folds up and down. It'll fold up when I'm using it, and then when I'm not using it, I can make it so I can fold it down. Basically, the reason I'm doing this is I needed an excuse to make another trailer, and the fact that that pellet trap is god awful heavy when I try to move it so I can mow. So I figured I'd just put it on wheels, make a nice trailer for it, and that way all I got to do is grab the tongue, wheel it out of the way, and I can do that by my hands. And if I do need to move it to a longer distance, I can just hook my four-wheeler up to it, move it out of the way, and be done with it. If I want to bring it over here to shop to work on it, I can hook to the four-wheeler or the lawnmower. Either one of them's got a 2-inch ball on them. So, I don't know how long the tongue's going to have to be. This thing here is only about 22 inches long. The four-wheeler, the ball is in underneath pretty good ways. So I'm going to try to get a longer one. Now I'll show you what I was planning on using, and it will work. But we'll see. That is this right here. I've already mounted the tongue to it, and basically all that is a street sign pole, and this is just temporary. I haven't got it painted yet or cleaned up. I got a wire wheel, clean it up. This might work, but like I said, when I mount, see, I'd like for this jack to be right in the center of where the motor was. And then I could just use one of them round aluminum 1/4-inch plates that I have to mount on the top side of this and drill a hole, and then I can thread it for these jack screws or bolts to go into. Of course, this is upside down right now. This here will be on this side, down here on the bottom. So, but right now we're just planning to see how this is going to work. I don't think I should have a whole lot of flex in my wheels as far as weight, because there's not really going to be a whole lot of weight on this, and there's only going to be about 6 inches sticking out for the wheel and the spacer, because we got to have a spacer here to go over the shaft, and I may have to make those too out of aluminum. I don't think I have any Delron big enough, but the spacers that was on it before might work. I don't know yet. We'll find out. But we got to have a spacer, and that spacer is about 3 inches long, and then there's going to be another 4 inches to go through the wheel, and then we'll have to put a keyway in here. Then we're going to thread the end of, drill and tap the end of this for 1/4 20, so that we can hold the wheel to the shaft. And yes, I'm probably going to put a ball on this one too, a 2-inch ball. That way, if I want to pull 2 of the trailers at the same time, I can. I like my options, man. But I think this here would make a nice tongue. It should work just fine. But I'd rather it be that C-channel. But that C-channel's not very long. I've done used all of it, and that's all that's left. So, we may have to mount this off to the side. I don't know yet. Hope not. Or it's possible that, let me turn this upside down the way it's going to be, and let's see where I can mount that tongue. Let's turn this around. This is what I'd rather use. And I could take and put that in there, but it would have to go all the way up to there at least. Now on my other trailer that I built, it goes all the way back. The other one has a box channel that's 1/4 inch thick, and it goes all the way back to about right here. But because I want to put my jack here, so I want to mount this plate right there, and it'll work just fine like that. But I can put my jack, sorry about that guys, I can put my jack right there, and I'll have plenty of room to, turn it. And it's not going to stick up too far because the target's going to be up here, a considerable amount, and then it'll just fold down. And the only problem I'm going to have with this is whether this is going to be long enough. That might be long enough, I don't know, because it doesn't have a big deck on it, so it doesn't matter. It should have a good turn radius. But I can mount this right there like that, and I'm going to get another 4 inches with the tongue, or the ball part where the ball goes into. And if I take and cut a slot in here to accommodate for this shape, then I could just slide that in there, mount it to here and here, and this will help it from flexing. But I'd rather it be on back there a little further, something like this. And that would give me plenty of room, and it wouldn't be too much sticking out, because I can go this way another 4 inches. But that means that I would have to put my jack somewhere else. I really didn't want to go off center, because then the trailer would kind of want to set cockeyed. So I mean, I can do it from here to here. It may not flex at all, I don't know, but I'm trying to keep it from doing this number because of it being weak. But if I just cut a slot in there and then slide this into it up to here, like I said, this here would hold it. It's just getting it to cut out exactly the same shape as that C channel, because I would have to cut that slot out to match this right here. That way I could just slide that in there and this metal will hold it. And I can slide it back here, put 2 bolts in it right here, and it's not going to flex with weight. And remember, there's not going to be a whole lot of weight on this trailer to begin with. So right now we're just in the planning mode, and there's going to be the worst part is going to be doing the axles. It's not complicated, it's just time consuming. So I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of machining on it. I'll just show you as steps as I go. But then once I'm done, then I'll put a second coat on here of black hammered, and that way I can cover all my nuts and bolts, because I wire wheeled all my nuts and bolts and clean them up, so they need a little bit of paint on them too. So once I get it all together, then I'll do a second coat and cover it all. Then I might just leave them blue. I don't think there'd be a problem with them being blue up against this color. That actually looks pretty good, that color against that color. So I might just leave them blue. Now you tell me why they put a grease fitting in there when there's a sealed bearing in it. Does that make any sense to you guys? It don't to me either. It bothers me I can't remember what those are called. I can tell you here real quick. Let me go over the internet there and see. Pillow blocks. Yeah, those are pillar blocks. So that's where we're at on this pellet trap trailer. And like I said, where the tires are going to be, they're going to be, let me get one of them here and put it there and see what it's going to look like. It's going to be about right there. So I may not need to put a fender on here, because if I put a fender on it, it's going to be raised up a little bit further, because it's got blocks in between it that holds it up off of this by about 2 inches. So they're actually going to be lower by about 3 inches. So this frame is going to be up there like that right there. So I don't think I'm going to need to put any fenders on it. And I'm only going to leave probably about an inch gap between the tire and the frame. Before it had about a 2-inch gap, but we're going to kind of move them in a little bit closer. Something like that right there. Yep, I think that'll work. What do you think, guys? Think it'll work? And then our pellet trap, I'll hinge it right here, and it's going to be probably up about that high. So I'm far enough away from my tires that I shouldn't have to worry about a slug hitting it. If I'm shooting that low, I'm a bad shot. But that's the only thing that worries me. These tires ain't cheap. I got this as a deal. These look like brand new. They were used. The wheels and the tires were used, but they look like they're brand new. But I got those for like $109 for both of them. I was going to get a set of tires for the other wheels, but I couldn't get the shaft out of them. So the rear end, when I went to take it apart, I was going to take the rear end apart and just lift the axles out and put it in the press and press it out. And when I went to go take the rear end apart, every damn one of the bolts broke off. So I said, to hell with it, I'm going to make my own axle. So we're going to make an independent axle for this. instead of making a solid axle, yes, a solid axle will work. But me, I am particular about my yard. I don't like digging up the yard. Even in my four-wheeler, when I back out of here, it makes a mark in my grass and it burns my ass, but I have to do that. But I want to try to minimize that tearing up my yard. Anyway, that's what we're planning. That's where our planning is right now on making this trailer. I also, these here, I haven't cleaned them up yet, but these here used to be the bracket that mounted right here that mounted the dash to it. Mounted right there just like that. Now I'm thinking serious about making these where we got a thing that goes across here with a cradle in it, so that when I lay that down, that pellet trap will lay right in that cradle, and then we'll make it so it can be strapped down. I don't know yet. We're going to use these for something. It'd be nice if I had 4 of these, because then I could use those for hinges too. I could put them right there, just like so, and use it for my hinge. But we'll make hinges. We'll make it out of something. I don't know what we'll make it out of, but we'll make it out of something. I don't really have a whole lot of angle. I've got some 1/2-inch angle steel. That's a little heavy to be cutting up, but we'll find something to work. You know, Bison Workshop, we'll figure it out. And I guarantee you, this is going to be nice when I'm done. It's just making the plans to do this in a way that I can utilize everything. You know, my pellet trap, if you remember what it looks like, it's probably about as wide as this is. And it's going to be probably right up about here. So when it folds down, it will probably land right, the trap will be right here. So we may put a piece of aluminum on the whole top of this just to make it look nicer. I had also thought about putting a spinner right here, but if I put a spinner there and use this area here as my trap, that would be cool to do, but I'm down there where my tires are. I don't want to be tearing up, I don't want to be putting holes in my tires. So that's probably a bad idea. We could put a spinner, you know, just for 177 and 22. Something like this right here. I could take something like that right there and put a shaft going across the bottom of it with these so that I can use these spinners. Or we may just make us some gongs, who knows. We may not add nothing to it. We may just make this only the pellet trap trailer and be done with it. So that's where we're at. I'm hoping to put the jack where the motor shaft came out, because then it would be in the center of the trailer and it would actually look pretty cool. So, you know, it would be right there. Something sort of like that. But in order to mount it, because the hole's bigger than the jack, I'd have to put this plate on it. And those are nice plates that I got from Aaron up in Winston-Salem. Thank you very much, Aaron, if you're still watching my channel. I haven't heard from him in so long. I think he forgot about me. But I can just make that plate to mount there. That'll cover it up. It'll look nicer, and then I can just cut the hole for the jack and then thread it for the bow holes. So there's part one of the pellet trap trailer that we're Bison's building. And if you guys got any suggestions, feel free. Don't mean I'm going to do it. But I think it'll be nice. And yes, like I said, I'm going to put a ball on the back of this too, a 2-inch ball. That way if I want to pull both my trailers at the same time, I can. So, it's better to have it and not need it than it is to need it and not have it. So, right now I can pull my dump trailer with either the lawnmower or the 4-wheeler. And now let me tell you some of the upcoming videos that I'm getting ready to do. I'm getting ready to rebuild the tailgate on my truck. It's been a long time coming. And I had to buy all the guts for the tailgate. And I found that that beauty cover that goes across my tailgate has broke. One of the ears has broke off. So we're going to have to get creative and figure out another way to mount that with screws going on the outside, but make it look like it's nice. So we're going to do that video, and then I'm going to put, I think I'm going to put a wireless remote winch system on my 4-wheeler winch, simply because I had to get another wireless system for this overhead crane, simply because this remote quit working on me. But the remote that goes on my keychain works just fine. That'll work perfect for the 4-wheeler. And I didn't think about that until after I got it, but it wasn't very much, so I figured I'd just go ahead and get one. And it's got 2 of the big remotes, sort of like this, but different shape. And the one on the keychain will work better for the 4-wheeler, so I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. So I have to take the remote for the overhead crane and put it on the 4-wheeler, and then take the new one and put it on this one. So, because the remote, this remote is worthless as a tits on a boar hog. I opened it up to find out what was going on with it and see if the battery needed to be changed, but it comes with one of them funky batteries. So it had a 2-slot battery cage in it, and it only had 1 battery in it, and I never had this apart. So I don't know why it only had 1 battery in it. Takes them old 23 amp 12 volt batteries, funky one. But anyway, those are the 2 upcoming videos coming up. We're going to do the tailgate, and we're going to do the wireless remote for the 4-wheeler winch. I've been wanting to do that anyway. I'm all about the technology, and looks like mine's already the space shuttle. Anyway, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.